Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Hello friends, good afternoon. I feel happy to be here once again from this platform of Sandhan Bisec to talk with you. And I welcome you all to this special lecture series of English covering all the topics of English from Gujarat University as well as South Gujarat University. Friends, I am Professor Vasant Joshi from J.B. Shah Commerce College, Ahmedabad. Today I am here to talk on kinds of sentences. Friends, whenever we communicate, because communication is the backbone of our life, no man can run without communication. We cannot even spare a day without communication. So when we communicate, what do? We speak or we write. So when we speak or write, what do we use? We use sentences. So sentences are made up of words. So today's our topic is kinds of sentences. First of all, let us understand what is the sentence or what is a sentence. Friends, a sentence is a group of words that makes sense. That means it is not just a group of words jumbled or juxtaposed with one another, but it is a group of words with some grammatical structure which conveys a particular meaning, which has some sense. It is called a sentence. A sentence expresses a complete thought. That means it has some sense. It begins with a capital letter and ends with a symbol. For example, if it is declarative sentence, we end it with full stop. If it is exclamatory sentence, we end it with exclamation mark. Or if it is a interrogative sentence, it is ended by an interrogation or mark. So it has one verb which is called a finite verb, a verb which denotes an action. The example is given here. Akash went to the school. Here Akash is the verb, went. Akash is the subject, went is the verb. It is a past form of go. And Akash, the first word, the first letter here is capitalized. So this is the structure of sentence. So when we speak or write, we use words. We generally use these words in groups. For example, I love my mom. She is going to college. I have finished my homework. So these are the sentences. These are the group of words which convey a particular message, which have some sense. Now let us see a movie.
Is a statement, and it usually has a subject and a verb. In this sentence, he is a student. This is the subject, and the verb be is right here. She likes her class. This is the subject, and this is the verb. The subject is a person, it could be a place, it could be a thing, it can be an idea, and the verb is an action, or it's some type of existence. The verb be shows existence. This sentence begins with the word there. There's a store down the street. There is kind of like the subject. Here's the verb be. And if you want to consider this to be the subject, but we don't know if it's singular or plural until we get to this part of the sentence. There's a store down the street. Store is connected to there. So you can consider this to be the subject in the sentence.
Yes, friends, I hope from this a short movie which has been downloaded from YouTube, you might have got an idea about the structure of a sentence. What is the subject in a sentence? What is the verb in a sentence? Now let us go on an expert's definition of a sentence. What is a sentence? Sentence is a group of words which makes complete sense or it conveys some meaning. Here is one more comprehensive definition of sentence. A sentence it is a set of words that is complete in itself, typically containing a subject and predicate, conveying a statement, question, exclamation or command, and consisting of a main clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. Friends, this definition gives us an idea about the we can say syntactic types of sentence and also semantic types of sentence. For example, the grammatical components which you find in sentence, they are subject and predicate. It has some main clauses, it has some subordinate clauses. Main clauses means independent clauses and subordinate clauses means dependent clauses which do not stand alone. Then there are several messages also in the sentence, maybe some question, maybe some command or maybe some exclamation like this. So these are the types of sentences. Now let us talk on the basic elements of every sentence. Every sentence requires a subject and predicate. Let us talk in detail what is the subject and what is the predicate. When we make a sentence, we name some person or thing and say something about that person or thing. These are the two things we do when we make a sentence. So every sentence has two parts. Number one, the part which names the person or thing we are speaking about. This is called the subject of the sentence. Number two, the part which tells something about the subject. This is called the predicate of the sentence. So these are the basic elements of every sentence. You can see here on your screen that grandfather is listening a radio. Grandfather is a subject and is listening a radio is a predicate. So these are the two components which make a sentence. So grandfather is the word of whom or is the person of whom we talk about. The second part of the sentence is listening a radio, to which we call a predicate, tells us something about the person. The person here is grandfather. Now let us talk about the kinds of sentences. There are two types of sentences, you can say syntactic by syntactic meaning and by semantic meaning. So syntactically, that is called by the arrangement of words grammatically, the grammatical order of words. There are four types of sentences or four kinds of sentences. They are simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences and compound and complex sentences. If you look from the point of the meaning which the group of words or which the sentence conveys, we have four different types. They are declarative or assertive sentences, interrogative sentences, imperative sentences and exclamatory sentences. Now let us discuss all these different kinds in detail. What is a simple sentence? A simple sentence has one independent clause. It can stand alone. It has one finite verb and it can have at least one subject. Sometimes it can have more than one subjects also. You can see here, this is a simple sentence with one subject. Mary plays tennis. So Mary is the subject here. Simple subject. Plays tennis is the predicate of the subject Mary. Then here is the one more example. Simple sentence with compound subject. Compound subject, that means two persons or two subjects combined together, that makes a compound subject. For example, here two persons, Tom and Mary, combinedly they make one subject. Tom and Mary play tennis. So here Tom and Mary combinedly they make a compound subject. Play tennis is the predicate in this sentence. this that was the simple sentence. Now let us go on compound sentence. Compound, the word itself suggests that it is a combination of two clauses, two independent clauses. So sometimes with several coordinating conjunctions we connect or we join two independent clauses and make one sentence. For example, Tom swims and Mary plays tennis. So here two independent clauses, Tom swims, Mary plays tennis, and these two independent clauses have been connected, have been joined by a coordinating conjunction, and that is and. You can see here two more examples. For example, she works in the city, she lives in the suburbs. These are the two independent clauses and they are connected with but, which is called a coordinating conjunction. So she works in the city but she lives in the suburbs. So here two independent clauses connected with or joined with one coordinating conjunction, and that is but here. The second sentence, he is sick. The next part of the sentence is he went to school, and both of them are independent clauses. Both of them convey a separate or complete sense, and they have been combined here, connected here by the coordinating conjunction, that is yet. So the complete sentence reads like this: he is sick yet he went to school. So these are the two independent clauses. When they are combined, it makes a compound sentence. So what are the compounds, what are the coordinating conjunctions we use for connecting the two independent clauses in a compound sentence? So logical relation, according to logical relationship, here they are given. For addition we use and, like Tom and Mary. For contrast we use but, he was sick but he went to school, like this. There is yet one more. To show choice we can use or nor, neither nor. For example, to show cause we use for, and to express result we use so. An easy way to remember all these, it is displayed on your screen, friends. You can see for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. These are the coordinators, or we can say conjunctions, which we use to connect two independent sentences, two independent clauses. You can remember them as fanboys. Taking the first word of each, the first letter of each word, I have made a word fanboys. So remembering fanboys, you can memorize these words. Complex sentence. The next one, the next type of sentence, that is complex sentence. It has one independent clause which can stand alone. It has one or more independent clauses, cannot stand alone, and the part that cannot stand alone is linked to the rest of the sentence by a subordinating conjunction, because they are the subordinate clauses. The first one, the main clause, which is an independent clause. The remaining clauses are subordinating clauses. So the conjunction we use here, it is called a subordinating conjunction. The chart shows I returned home because I was tired. Friends, here as the arrow shows, I returned home, it is the main clause, or we can call it independent clause. And I was tired, it is subordinate clause, or we can say dependent clause. It is not independent clause. In this, and both these independent clauses, this independent and dependent clauses, they have been combined, they have been connected by a subordinating conjunction, that is because, in the first sentence. So the whole sentence reads like this: I returned home because I was tired. In the second sentence, he is honest, that is the main clause, independent clause. The second half of the sentence, he is poor, that is the dependent clause, not an independent clause. And both these clauses have been connected with a subordinating conjunction, that is though. The whole sentence reads like this: he is honest though he is poor. So in this way, subordinate conjunctions connect the main or independent clause as well as the subordinate clause. So the subordinate conjunctions used in complex sentences are after, if, before, since, unless, until, as, because, while, when, whereas, even though, although, etc. So all these are the words which connect two clauses, main clause and the subordinate clause. The fourth part of sentence types is compound complex sentence. It has two or more independent clauses. Remember, in complex sentence it has only one independent clause and other two or more dependent clauses. Here this compound complex sentence can have two or more independent clauses which can stand alone, which can convey some sense, complete sense, and it can have one or more dependent clauses, or we can say subordinate clauses, and they cannot stand alone. They do not convey a message. Here the examples are given. Because I am an English teacher, some people expect me to speak perfectly and other people expect me to write perfectly. Here in this sentence, the clause which is given in red color, as you can show the these distinctions at the bottom of the slide. So the red color shows the independent clause in both the sentences. In the second sentence, since we wanted to have fun, it is also an independent clause. And the clauses which are given in blue color, for example in first sentence, some people expect me to speak perfectly, other people expect me to write perfectly. These are the two dependent clauses, or we can call them subordinate clauses. In the second sentence, my friend and I went to Christmas party yesterday and we danced all night. These are the dependent clauses. And in both the sentences, and has been used as a subordinating conjunction. So all these make a complete sense and it is called a compound complex sentence. So that was we can say the types of sentences by the grammatical arrangement of words. So it was syntactic or syntactically types of sentences: simple, complex, compound and complex compound. But now let us go or let us discuss the semantic types of sentences. There are four types of sentences semantically we can call, that is declarative, imperative, exclamatory and interrogative. The first one is interrogative, then there is declarative, then there is imperative, and finally there is exclamatory. Friends, just to remember these four types of sentences, we can tactfully remember them. For example, if you say I die for sentences, here nobody is going to die, nobody is going to sacrifice his life for the sentences or for the sake of sentences. But just to remember these, I have created this sentence, that is I die. I means interrogative, D means declarative, I again means imperative, and E means exclamatory. So I die for sentences. So if you remember this I die, it becomes very easy to remember or to memorize all the four kinds of sentences. Interrogative sentence ends with a question mark. Declarative sentence ends generally with a full stop and sometimes with a question with an exclamatory mark. And imperative sentence, that is full stop, and exclamatory, that is exclamation mark. Interrogative sentence, it asks a question, ends with a question mark. There are three types of interrogative questions: yes no interrogative questions, alternative interrogative questions, and the final WH interrogative questions. Let us take an example of yes no interrogative questions. You can see the example. Are you busy now? If someone asks you, are you busy now? What will be your answer? Obviously, yes or no. Yes, I am busy, or no, I am not busy. So these are called yes no or interrogative, yes no interrogatives. The second one is alternative interrogatives. Here the answer is not yes or not, but out of the two options mentioned in the question itself, one becomes the answer. For example, is this room number 22 or 24? So the person who will reply to this question, he will say either say 22 or he will say 24. So this is called alternative interrogatives. The third one is WH interrogatives. Who are you? So here the answer is not yes or no. The answer is not any option, any alternative from the question itself. But a person has to make a statement in reply or in response to this question. For example, who are you? So the person can say, I am Mahesh, I am Mayank, like this. So the question starts with a WH word, WHO, and that is why it is called WH interrogative. There can be various WH words with which a question can start with, can begin with. That is when, where, why, how, that also can be used. Then declarative. Let us go on the first kind of sentence, semantic type of sentence, that is declarative. ગુજરાતીમાં જેને આપણે કહીએ વિધાન વાક્ય. It makes a statement. It tells something. It gives information. And generally it ends with a full stop. But sometimes with an exclamation mark. You might be surprised that a declarative sentence also can be ended with an exclamation mark. Yes, depending on the filling put into it. You will see this thing in the examples in the following slides. 3 examples are given here. The girl went to school. People are running. They are not walking. It's very hot outside. See, the first sentence tells something about the girl, the subject. The girl went to school with her friend. So it makes a statement about the subject, that is the girl here in this sentence. The second one tells people are running, they are not walking. So it makes a statement, gives information about the subject, which is people here. A declarative sentence can be affirmative or negative. Affirmative ને આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કહી શકીએ હકારાત્મક વાક્ય, negative એટલે કે નકારાત્મક વાક્ય. People are running, that is affirmative sentence. They are not walking, that is negative sentence. It's very hot outside. See, it shows the excitement, and that is why we have put an exclamation mark there. The next kind of sentences is imperative sentences. It gives a command, or it conveys an order. Generally it ends with a full stop, but here also sometimes it ends with an exclamation mark depending on the filling put into it. The examples are given here. Imperative sentences: go to your room. This is an order. This is a command given to someone. For example, if a father tells the child, the kid, go to your room, so this is the command. Do your homework tonight. If the mother tells her daughter or son, do your homework tonight, so this is the command. It is an order. Write down your answers. The teacher orders his students, write down your answers. So these are the commands. And you might have observed one thing, that all these imperative sentences, they begin with a verb. Go, do, write. So the first words in each sentence here is a verb. Then you might be thinking, where is the subject then? So subject is implied here. It is not mentioned in the sentence clearly, but the subject in an imperative sentence, it is understood that the subject is second person, maybe singular or maybe plural, that is you. So in any imperative sentence, when the subject is not used and when the imperative sentence begins directly with a verb, the subject is understood as you. Then the next one is exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory, said with an excitement. These are the sentences, these are said with an excitement. They express strong feelings. For example, if someone is too much excited, for example, if you see anything and if you feel to be very happy, or if you get very angry, so it shows your excitement. You can see the picture at the bottom of the slide also. The person is excited, feeling too happy. He is in a very happy mood. So it shows, it expresses strong feeling, and it ends with an exclamation mark. Exclamation mark is mentioned here in red color. The examples are given here of exclamatory sentences. For example, how beautiful these flowers are. So the statement, the sentence here starts with how, but don't think that this is a question, interrogative sentence. It is not a question. It is not a question. For example, if you see, if we speak or if we ask someone, how are you? That is a question, because in that question we ask someone, we ask something to someone. We expect some response from the person to whom we are asking this question. How are you? The person will reply, I am fine or I am not fine. But here the how is not used as a WH question, because this is an exclamatory sentence. At the end also, at the end of the sentence also, you can see, you can note down that there is not a question mark, it is an exclamation mark. So how beautiful these flowers are, it expresses someone's feelings. For example, if someone looking at a flower, if someone becomes very happy, if the sight of that flower gives him a pleasing mood, naturally the words which will come out of his mouth is, they are, how beautiful these flowers are. So it is an exclamatory sentence. The next one is, wow, that's a great news. For example, let me give an example. For example, if you are on internet, if you are searching for a result, your exam was very good, you are expecting at least distinction. But for example, if looking on the internet, if you find that you are the university first or you have got the gold medal, so what excitement you will get, friends, looking at this. Or if someone, for example, you are outside, out of your home, the result is declared already, you haven't seen it on the, you haven't checked it on the internet. But for example, if some of your teacher or some of your friend who has seen this thing on the internet and gives you this news, hi, hello guy, you have got the first class, you are the university first. So what kind of excitement, what kind of response, what kind of reply first will come out of your mouth? Wow, that's a great news, obviously. So it shows your excitement. So when one gets excited, maybe the excitement may be a happy mood, maybe angry, or maybe any kind of excitement. So when we express our excitement, it is called exclamatory sentence. For example, if you are playing a match and if you win the, it was almost, you are about to lose the match. For example, in cricket match, if you require 6 runs and there is one last ball only left, and for example, if the player gives you 6 in the last ball, so the match was about to lose, we were about to lose that match, but it was a miracle. It was a miracle that we won the match in the last ball with a 6 from the batsman. So everyone in the stadium will get excited and everyone will shout loudly, hooray, we have won the match, hooray, we have won the match. So this is the kind of excitement which you express on winning the match or on getting any good news. So this kind of excitements we express in these exclamatory sentences. Friends, I hope I have cleared here the 4 types of sentences, that is semantically, if we talk it about semantically, that is interrogative sentences which ask a question which ends with a question mark. Then there is declarative sentence which makes a statement or which gives some information which ends with a full stop. And if there is some excitement is given in any declarative sentence, it can also end with an exclamation mark, as we have seen in the previous slides in the examples. Then there is imperative sentence. In imperative sentence, we give commands, we give orders. So imperative sentences, they begin with verbs, as I told you. The subject here in imperative sentences is dropped. It is not used, but it is implied, it is understood. When the subject is dropped, it is understood that the subject here is you, the second person, first singular or maybe plural. And finally there is exclamative sentence, that is that presents or expresses the excitement of a person. If we look at the sentences, types of sentences from the grammatical order of the words, looking at the subject and predicate, looking at the subject and verb in the sentence, or looking at the main clause, that is independent clause, and the dependent clause, which we call subordinate clause, when they are put together making one sentence. So if we look from this point of view, it is called syntactically. So syntactically we have 4 types of sentences, that is simple sentence, just one subject, one verb. Then we have compound sentences, one independent clause and another independent clause, 2 independent clauses connected with a coordinating conjunction, maybe and, but, yet, for, since. They are called compound sentences. And the complex sentence, which has one or more independent clauses and then maybe one or more dependent or subordinate clauses, which are connected, which are joined with subordinating conjunctions, maybe for example after, besides, if, then, although, even though, whereas. These are called subordinating conjunctions, which connect or which join the sentences, which join the clauses, different clauses, to make a complete sense, to make a complex sense. So friends, I hope I have satisfied you regarding the types of sentences syntactically as well as semantically. If there are any questions, you can ask me or you can post your questions also. Thank you.
Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.